Hello, hello, hello. We are in the Cosby's living room. For some reason, it looks backwards on my on my end. But we're here to celebrate and remember and mourn the life of Malcom Jamal Warner and the Cosby Show. Because you would say, I am of the Generation X. And I was there in 1984, sitting in front of my TV screen, waiting on the first episode of Cosby. So I'm going to play a little bit of the intro and let y'all see who was working with back in them days. I mean, I was 12 when the Cosby Show came out, and it was a sight to see. I was a kid who got up on Saturday mornings and watched the what was it called? Fat Albert. So I was very familiar with Bill Cosby when it came to those things. So, just wanting to see the Cosby Show was, another thing. So that was our plight then. So I'm going to let this play here. And that was the intro into the Cosby Show. Now we all remember that, and that was a time back then, I'm telling you, a time. That was a time that we all can remember when we got introduced to the Cosbys. Well, the Huxtables. So we got introduced to Heathcliff, Claire, Dr. Heathcliff, and we have Claire, what do you call it? Lord have mercy, what do you call it? She was an attorney, Esquire. And we got a chance to meet Denise, who was the oldest sister at the time. Season 2 is when they brought in Sandra, but we had Theo, aka Malcom Jamal. We have Vanessa, and we had Rudy. And I'm going to tell you what, being, 12 years old and watching this show, it was a lot. I mean, first of all, we seeing a Black family. My parents, they divorced when I was 7, about to turn 8. So, but my family, we always did things together. Even after my parents divorced, we still went on trips to amusement parks. I'm from Fort Wayne, Indiana. That's northeast Indiana. So we would go over to Ohio, and we go to Kings Island, which is in Cincinnati, or we go to Cedar Point, which is in Sandusky. We go on shopping trips, all those kind of things that, we did as a family. So watching the Cosby Show and see it by the time this comes on, of course, my parents are divorced, but they still did things together. So watching this, I mean, we would watch it on Thursday nights and report back to school what happened. So the Cosby Show was a big deal. It was different to see Black people in another light. People did think pieces on the Cosby Show, said it wasn't realistic. There wasn't Black families that, this was like fairy tale. There wasn't Black families that had a middle-class Black family that was a doctor and an attorney. That was like fairy tale, and people just thought, oh, this was not realistic, not realistic for Black people to see this thing. I'm thinking, I got a cousin who's She's an attorney, and her husband was a nurse practitioner. They're still married. They got married in the late 70s. So this was life for a lot of people. My family was more blue collar. Of course, my mom, she didn't get her degree till later, but she always kind of worked in the office. She's an accountant. And my dad worked for the electric company here. But for most people, this was a sight to see. Theo was fine. Denise Huxtable was very pretty. It seems like Rudy was cute, and Vanessa, I kind of felt like she was like Jan from the Brady Bunch. But I mean, they were a beautiful family, and here we see a Black affluent family doing things, and they're introducing us to a lot of things. I mean, like when I saw the movie Ray, that's when I realized the most famous scene. Let me go to it from this. One of the famous scenes. There was a lot, but the scene to remember was when they had them doing like a little talent show for the grandparents. And when I saw the movie Ray, I was like, oh, that's from the Cosby Show. I'm like, okay, I didn't know that. So let's see here. Let me share this. So we're looking at this and like, okay. We know when we saw this iconic scene right here, I don't want to play it because I don't want to get in any trouble. But when we saw it, this was something to go back to school and talk about. We went back to school because when Rudy bellowed out, my daddy called it pantomiming. We learned to call it lip sync because remember they had putting on the hits back in those days. I'm 70s baby, grew up in the 80s. They were lip singing for the grandparents, and when she got down there and said, "Baby," I can't say. We all went. I remember going back to school the next day. Everybody was talking about this. We talked about the Cosby Kids. It was just a new phenomenon. They said the viewership for the Cosby Show was between usually between about 30 million. Viewers are not, each time that they showed it, which it aired on Thursdays, and mind you, this is before streaming. This is before you can actually go back and like set your DVR, go back and watch it. You had to watch it then at that time. I'm talking to the Gen Xers. You know how we were sitting in front of that TV waiting on the show to come on. And let me put the thing up here. You know, I was waiting on the show to come on and was sitting in front of the TV because I remember being a little kid. My shows I used to watch on Saturdays was Silver Spoons. I think it was Different Stroke, then Silver Spoons, and then Facts of Life, something like that. That was the order on Saturdays. So, but to have Thursdays, you're watching Family Ties, I believe, and the Cosby Show. And then then there was a spinoff. Then they had A Different World. So then we got introduced to Black college life. But watching the Cosby Show, being in middle school, that was everything. Theo was probably every little Black girl. I don't know, maybe white girls too, but a lot of us, our little first TV crush. When we saw them, it was just Black excellence all over. Felicia Rashad, I remember when she was pregnant with her daughter on the show. I remember because a lot of those bed scenes where she would be in bed because she was pregnant. That's how they covered up the pregnancy back then. When I found out that, not Theo, when we found out that Malcom Jamal Warner had passed, I happened to go in the kitchen. I hadn't had my phone looking at it for a while. And all of us, I go to pick up the phone and look on Facebook. That was the first thing I saw. And, a lot of times they would do some of those birthday photos and they almost look like memoriams, or somebody passing away. And I'm like, this can't be true. Then I got the looking and I said, let me go on over to Instagram. And I seen the TMZ. I said, oh my God. Then I'm searching, trying to figure out what happened. So what we find out is that Malcom Jamal Warner was with his family as he was going on a vacation they were in Costa Rica. And on vacation, they were out for, I believe, a morning swim, him and his daughter. And somehow he got caught up in what it was called a riptide. I believe that's how it's pronounced. And I remember my first encounters with waves. Now I can't swim a lick. So I ain't going out past, if it's by my calves, that's about far as I'm going. First of all, I don't like the water like that, and I don't know what's in it. But I remember we were in, as kids, we had flew down to Texas when my father had moved there. And he took us to Galveston Beach. And my cousins go, hey, as the waves come in, you jump up. My little brother seen the wave and took off running, like it looked like he was running on top of the water. So we were out there in the water, and just to feel, how the currents and the wave come in. So I couldn't imagine getting caught up in the wave and it dragging you out. And evidently that's what it did. I remember a couple of years ago, Roland Martin was talking about that, because I don't know, did somebody pass away or something? I can't remember why this was a conversation on Roland Martin. And they were saying the way you should swim. And it seems like they say to swim like horizontally instead of trying to swim straight back to land. Something to that effect. I don't know, but I'd never be out that far in the water anyways. But, when we heard about it, it was so sad. I said, oh my goodness, I've been messed up since Monday. I am not going to even lie. And I thought, am I crazy? I thought about this on Monday. Am I crazy to be feeling like this? And when I actually went and watched a lot of YouTube content creators, and I've seen a lot of people talking about it, especially people my age, and it was a big deal. It was a big deal. So I said, I'm not the only one feeling crazy. But I said, because I almost feel about as bad, as sad as I felt when Michael Jackson passed. I'm not even going to lie. And I was one of the biggest Michael Jackson fans. Now, I never had a poster of Malcom Jamal Warner. I don't believe so, because my room it was all for Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson, I had one other poster of New Edition on the wall. But other than that, it was all for Michael Jackson. Every inch of my wall was Michael Jackson. But just remembering and thinking about, no matter how you may feel about Bill Cosby, what he created, I don't know if it was his idea or whatever he was part of, whoever helped created the Cosby Show did one big one for Black America. I mean, because everybody was shook. I mean, there were people doing, like I said, think pieces on, oh, this is not true. And, us Black people were proud. We got Dr. Heathcliff Huxtable on here, America's Dad, and he walking around with these Coochie sweaters, which people started wearing Coochie sweaters. We're getting a taste of all kind of arts. We're learning about different jazz music. We're learning about different professions. And like I said, when they did the spinoff to Hillman, The Different World, people got a chance to see what HBCUs were like. I mean, I'm from Fort Wayne, Indiana. So, what our population is, maybe 200,000. I think we're only 19% Black here. So it was a big deal. And I was trying to explain it to my daughter and my son. I'm like, this is, you had to watch the episode because you didn't know when a rerun was coming on. You didn't know. And back then we had the TV guide so we could look up the shows or whatever and find out. But I'm just saying, I felt like we lost a family member, a long lost friend. That's what it felt like. I'm like, wow, Malcom Jamal Warner. And then at first when I heard about it, I didn't think he had any children. I thought that I knew he had, used to date Regina King. I knew that he used to date the girl who actually appeared on the show, and then she was on Family Matters, Michelle Thomas. he dated her, and she died like in, I think, 97 or something like that from cancer. And I remember when she died, because I always thought she was a pretty girl. And, she played the character Myra on Family Matters, who was in love with Steve Urkel. So I remember when she passed away, I didn't realize, I was like, oh, she was a lot older than I thought, because she played a much younger part. But this was just so shocking for everyone. And there was so many people that had nothing but nice things to say. And Bill Cosby actually spoke about it. And he said how he and Felicia Rashad talked over the phone and they grieved over the phone. I mean, could you imagine? We were introduced to Malcom Jamal Warner at the age of 14 when this show had started. He was 14 years old. And, when their voices are changing, I mean, he looked like the average boy in my school. The cute boy, that's what he looked like. He looked like, and I guess that's what made the Cosby Show just pop, because they look like kids we would see at school. They dress like kids we'd seen at school. Well, I would say this. The school I went to, I would say, was very diverse. It's in it was on the south side of the city, but our school was the only my high school rather, was the only walk-in high school at the time. And the kids who went there, you had kids that lived in mansions that lived maybe almost a mile away from the school. Then you have on the other side kids who did not, that lived, middle class. And you have kids who were that lived in probably we're a little bit below middle class, but we didn't live around like any projects or anything like that. We really don't have projects here anyways, but for the most part, most of the kids kind of had, I'm not going to say, it seemed like we had the same life experience. I don't know if we did or not, but I couldn't really just pick out a kid and say, oh, that kid's poor. But we knew the rich kids, though. We knew them, or what we considered rich. Those driving new cars. Back when I was going to school, nobody had a car. Really. We was Mike and Ike in it. But like I said, watching the Cosby shows, even when they had gotten a car, I think Denise was driving the family car. Was it a station wagon or something? But this show was just, it was so iconic in so many different ways. And I do want to thank whoever came up with the idea of showing or showcasing a Black family that is functional, that were professional minded, that was family oriented, and we didn't have to see a bunch of drama or bullshit on TV. We didn't have to see if the people barely making it. These people were living a life that most of us probably attained to or lived at, or right now, we're all in, most people are, some people are enjoying life. I can't say my life is pretty good, I guess. But watching the show and falling out laughing on some of the scenes, like when, I think it was first season when Heathcliff Huxtable tells Theo that I brought you in this world and I'll take you out. And what most people thought of immediately was about what happened with Marvin Gaye and his dad. Immediately. We all thought of that. We did. Because I believe that happened, I want to say, it seems like that happened after that. I'm not very sure. But I remember that saying kind of came, around that time. Now, I don't know what was the timeline or whatever, but I know I was in middle school. So like I say, this was 7th grade year, and the Cosby Show was the thing to watch. And like I said, they had all kind of nice family moments. I remember at the time, my mom, she was a single parent and she was in school. And I remember as we got older and we started working, as teenagers, because my mom would always say, you don't need to work, because once you start working, you're going to be working the rest of your life. And that has been the truth. Ever since I was 16. So, and I remember my mom used to have what was called the family fund. And what she would do was, when I got paid for my job, I got to keep half of my check. So half of your check you got a chance to keep. A fourth of it went into the bank, and the other fourth went into what we call the family fund. The family fund was for, because usually on Fridays we went out to eat. That's what we did in my household. We went out to eat every Friday. Saturdays, we probably went out to the movies, but the family fund was so it could help fund those things. And I remember being 16, I remember I had got my first check that had a bonus on it. It was okay given, because what was the minimum wage was $4.25. I was making $5.55. So I thought I was doing shit. And I remember the first time I got a bonus check, and I was barely probably working. And I remember the bonus check, I brought home $400. Oh my God. When I had to put $200 into that family fund, I was wait a minute. Well, $100 of the family fund and $100 in the bank. Because my mom was teaching me how to save money. She always believed in, saving your money and having good credit. I'm like my daddy. I was spending it. She went to Florida. I think I got a hold of that bank account and spent every dime of it. And she couldn't believe it. What you going by? I couldn't even remember what I bought. Somebody needed to borrow some money, and then I went and blew the rest of it. And I had to build it back up again. But I remember when families would do things, we would call it, they think they got a Cosby family. They think they own the Cosby Show. And we would say that because we would eat dinner together at the table. And we'll talk about things or whatever, because I never forget my mom was dating a man, and Two Live Crew at first came out. I was in high school at this point, but my mom friend, she was dating, I can't even remember who it was. My brother had the double cassette boombox, and we was playing the newest song. I was like, Mama, you want to hear this new song? My brother started playing it, and I don't know where he used to get his little bootleg songs from, but he was getting it. And next thing you hear, hey, we want some Two Live Crew. My mom was like, her brother heard it, cut it off. We think nothing of it. We knew it was wrong, but that's how it was being at the time. So, like I say all this to say, the passing of Malcom Jamal Warner had brought back so many memories, good memories, especially when we're sitting here watching a lot of the reels that people are playing. They're showing different aspects of him, showing the how he, just went from being a child star to being an adult star. So it was one, I'm out of words. I don't even know what to say. He seemed to be an awesome person. When Bill Cosby did speak, he spoke of hearing how that he had passed. And they wasn't really sure. And so, he was like, he kind of felt like when he found out about his son being murdered. And I remember when that happened. And he said, because it was uncertainty. He said he was at work. And then finally people figured out it was actually Bill Cosby's son, and he got the news. He said it kind of put him in the same mind of when that happened with his son when he found out about Malcom Jamal. And you can hear, I guess I'm used to seeing Bill Cosby look like the Bill Cosby from, the Cosby Show. And when you hear a person sounding older and feeble a little bit, because he's in his 80s, that, that really, I'm like, dang, but he got to be in his 80s, about 52, about to be 53. So, yeah. And I just, you can hear like kind of the pain. This like person I know since he was, 14, or he probably knew him before then. The show aired, but I'm pretty sure they filmed, or prior to that. I don't know how it went back though in those days, but he said that Malcom Jamal was a good person. And he said, I hope the media doesn't try doesn't try to ruin that. He said, because he was a good person. Other people also said, whatever he was very professional, so he was always on time. He knew his lines. He was very, very professional, and he was a nice guy. And he said he was a good person. So, hearing that, and then I'm always in the comments, and you see people in the comments, I don't know why they talking about Bill Cosby. And it's a lot of, because this was on, I know I seen the one on Entertainment Tonight, and they were talking about Bill Cosby. And who's all in them comments. And they were salty. That, how dare you? I'm like, really? I mean, Bill Cosby, meant a lot to the Black community, period. And so at this moment in time, we're not trying to hear about this other stuff. We are listening to the man talk because he knew this young man. Then they even had let me go to this other one. They had where, some of the cast members had spoke about him. And I'm going to share this one here. And this is from the Griot. And this is a nice picture. This is actually, I guess they must have did some kind of like a reunion show or something like that. And I would imagine this was done in the 2000s. Because look at Brave and Simone. So, my goodness. So they asked some of the castmates about Malcom Jamal Warner's death. And they said, it's been a tough 24 hours for Hollywood and Black TV lovers. Let me put my glasses on. As we grieve the loss of an actor, Malcom Jamal Warner. Warner was first introduced to the audience as Theo Huxtable on The Cosby Show, and has remained Black culture's cousin, Theo, for decades after the show's end. Let me put this probably bigger on the other side. Let me see here. Let me see. Let me make it a little bigger so y'all can see what I'm reading. I'm sorry. And make myself small. Let me go back over here. Sorry. It said and has remained Black culture's cousin, Theo, for decades after the show's ending. So just as fans flooded timelines with their reactions to the actor's death, Warner's TV families from the hit 80s sitcom are grieving the news of Warner's tragic drowning and ultimate passing in Costa Rica. It said Bill Cosby, who played Warner's TV dad on the Cosby Show, mourned the actor's death in an interview with Ed. When the news came, it was shocking, Cosby told the outlet. My thoughts went straight to his mother, who worked so hard. She was wonderful with him. You could depend on Malcolm to learn his lines, to gather his character, to come out and be ready. It says the 88-year-old representative Andrew Wyatt told People magazine that the news of Warner's passing reminded Cosby of the same call he received when his son died. Cosby's only son, Ennis William Cosby, was murdered in 1997 at the age of 27. Recalling how Ennis and Warner used to play together, Wyatt describes Warner's tragic passing as devastating. Warner, who played Cosby's only son on The Cosby Show, reportedly kept in contact with Cosby through the years. In conversations with CBS News, Jericka Duncan, Cosby revealed that the last time he had spoken to the late actor was 3 months before his death, where they discussed a concert. Says he was very proud of what he had done, Cosby said, reflecting on his latest conversation with Warner. When asked what he wanted people to remember about the actor, Cosby stressed his work ethic. He was never afraid to go into his room and study, and he knew his lines, and he was quite comfortable even with growing pains of being a teenager, the 88-year-old comedian noted. They spoke all the time, Wyatt added. Per People magazine, Cosby said Malcolm was changing humanity. Cosby also revealed that he and Felicia Rashad, who played Clara Huxtable, grieved their co-star's death together over the phone, stating that they were embracing each other over the phone about the dearly beloved friend. Fellow The Cosby Show co-star Jeffrey Owens, who played Warner's brother-in-law, Elvin, expressed that the star's death left him speechless. Malcolm was a lovely man, a sweet, sensitive soul. I respected him for many reasons, including the fact that he generally loved the act of creation. He had the mind of an actor and the heart of a musician. He was generous too. I did a theater project long ago and asked him to participate, and he was there for me. My heart goes out to his family, and he continued in the statement per Deadline. Raven Simone, who appeared in the last 3 seasons of the hit sitcom at the age of 3, shared an emotional statement on Instagram. Words cannot describe the pain, sadness, and surprise that I feel with the recent loss of MJW. He was a big brother. He was a beacon. He was the most multifaceted, talented man, so gentle. He gave the best advice. He gave the best hugs. And his smile will always be huge. Bright white smile in my head forever. I love you. I know you're watching over us now, the actress said in a video statement, extending hugs and kisses to Warner's daughter, wife, and mother. And she posted, I love you. So, let me go on back to the StreamYard. Honey, I tell you, I was so shook by his passing. I'm not even gonna lie. It did something to me. And I said, maybe, I don't know why, but I feel like we lost a relative. I really do. And he seemed to be a good guy. And I am so thankful that I was actually there watching it as it was playing out. I love The Cosby Show. And I was just looking around like, where can I watch it at now? I think they said you could possibly watch it on TV One. Honey, if you go on Amazon Prime, they want you to pay $1.99 per episode. Look at, I'm about to tear up. $1.99 per episode. And I think they say you can go on, I think it's a Philo, and watch it. Hold on one second. Hold on a second. My husband trying to call me. I ain't even looking at my phone. Give me 1 second. Let me mute this right quick. I'm back. Okay. Yeah. So, like I said, it was something that, none of us saw it coming. That's how things are. We don't see it coming. And then when it hits, it's like, oh my God, I can't believe this happened. And we had Malcom Jamal Warner. He is born in 1970 and he died on Sunday. I believe his birthday is sometime I believe his birthday is in August. This is the guy we came to love. This is the family we came to love. Beautiful Black family. I mean, just beautiful. Rudy was so cute. Look at Vanessa. And Felicia Rashad was giving it, honey. And I never forget watching the show. I was like, why is she with Mr. I mean, I thought that she was just way younger than Bill Cosby. And it turns out, I think Felicia Rashad she's in her late 70s. So I think he's about maybe 10 years older than her. Maybe, I think. I know she's like about 78 or 79. So if she's 78, he's 88. So, but beautiful family. I mean, I hate this so bad. I really do. I really do. Hold on. He's calling me back. Hold on a second. So, yeah, I just hate to see that. So, but I'm going to play some of our, we have Malcom Jamal. He's doing, he received a Grammy. He was a poet. He also said that when he was a kid and he used to go and visit his dad would make him read poetry. It was a poetry on Malcolm X. And as a kid, when he took the book to school, he was in elementary, and the kids like, oh, they made a book about you. And he thought to himself that, oh, these kids don't even know about Malcolm X. I know they didn't, because I didn't know about him either. I didn't learn about Malcolm X. So I was damn near grown. I'm not even lying. That was nothing we were taught in school. I tell you that now. They weren't teaching no Malcolm X, nothing. So, like I said, he received a Grammy. I'll play it. And I hope I don't get struck. But here we go.
I bet y'all didn't know he did that feature. Laughing at you.
So Malcom Jamal Warner, I guess what they call it, he was a Renaissance man. He was. I mean, he did all the things. And so many people had so much respect for him. And it seems like he was a great father, a great husband. He became a dad late in life. His daughter is only 8. So we need to keep her lifted in prayer. Definitely his mother. And I believe his father may be living too. And his wife. He said he got married at 45. So he's been married, probably about 9 years. This is a great loss. And I thought, let me come up here and say something, because this is my generation here. Gen X. And we is feeling some type of way. And here's some of the things that some of the people were saying online. Let me see here. Let me make sure I got them all up here. No, this girl, I'm on the wrong stuff. Let me get this off of there. Hold on. Let me see. I thought I put it up here. Oh, yeah. Here we go. It says, rest in peace, Malcom Jamal Warner. It says, Black people, feel free to tell your job that you have a family emergency. Cousin Theo has died. I mean, that's how I feel. I really do. And then we have Eddie. what's his name? I went to go and see him too. God, Lord have mercy. What's his name? Eddie Griffin. He had made, I can't even read it. So let me see if my phone here. He said, at that point in time, they would, they work things out. They're not working together no more, so they was doing great. And I just thought, wow, this guy. I mean, what I will say, the Cosby kids, none of them got into mess. None of them. They all, the ones that we, the kids that we all grew up knowing. Like what is it, River Phoenix, whatever his name was, and the rest of them, the kids that was on the Goonies, and a lot of them kids, even some of the different stroke cast members, they end up having drug problems. These Cosby kids, I'm not gonna say they were damn near squeaky clean. Lisa Bonet got pregnant, but she was married. I don't know whichever came first, the egg or the chicken, but she got married and she left a different world. She came back to the Cosby Show, and she had her baby. I think her daughter's name is Zoe Kravitz. She married Lenny Kravitz, had a baby, and she continued to be on the show. And she, did not go to college. They had her get married on the show, and that's how we ended up getting Olivia. I don't know why they brought in Sonya. I never understood that. I don't know the backstory to it. All I know is Sandra. She was actually maybe just 10 years younger than Felicia Rashad. Yes. So she was quite a bit older than the rest of them. Because I don't know how old. I don't know. I think my internet is not doing well. So hopefully it's working out good. I'm sorry. Let me look and see because I don't know. But Lisa Bonet, I would imagine is probably, I don't know, right? Maybe somewhere around 58, somewhere around that, 58 or 57. But the other lady, Sandra, what her real name is, Lord, I forgot. She's like 67 years old. So she's quite a bit older than the rest of them. But I don't know why they decided in season 2 to put Sandra on there, but they did, and I still love the Cosby Show. Honey, I was sitting watching now, so I'm trying to figure out where in the world could I watch it. And with my cable company, because I still got cable, we used to have TV One, but they went to Clio TV, which is the same thing, but it doesn't like show the same shows as, I don't know. I can't see. What was I watching that pissed me off? I couldn't watch Unsung. I couldn't watch it on Clio TV. At least I tried. And I don't know. I guess maybe you have to get a subscription to TV One or whatever. But yeah, so Eddie Griffin, he wrote a heartfelt post and how he talking about how he was a good guy. They had their clash, but they're like brothers. Brothers, you're gonna fight, you're gonna love, you're gonna do all those things. And how he had just had he made a great impact on his life. So, and I am just overjoyed to see how the impact that Malcom Jamal, because most of us, if we go back a week ago, but I ain't gonna say we weren't thinking about him, but we probably really wouldn't. And just to know that the impact he made on our lives when it happened, I wish we could all gave him his flowers before, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people have, but that he could see the love that, that us as a community had for him. It's a great outpour. And like I said, to keep his family in prayer and his castmates too. And I would say 1990, excuse me, 84 was a great time to be living. It was a great time. Oh my God. Them 80s, I swear to goodness. It was a good time, especially, I felt like as kids, I always compare my life to like my kids or my grandkids' life. I'm like, when we was kids, who was able to be kids? I think y'all got to be grown too quick. I did kid stuff. We had a good time. We didn't have to worry about stuff, but we know the world is way different and more corrupt than it was back then in those 80s. So that is my thoughts on Malcom Jamal Warner, aka Cousin Theo. I hate to see it, but Cousin Theo, thank you for giving us your best on the show. Malcom Jamal Warner. I'm going to stop calling you Cousin Theo. I'm going to call you by your government name. Malcom, thank you for showing us what a Black man looks like. Sometimes, on TV, sometimes there are the stereotypes that they have out there for Black people that make you think that, or people really, foreigners think that most Americans are like that we're all drug. I'm about to get, let me quit. That we're all drug dealers or prostitutes, or we all live some gangbanging life. Hell, we're not. We're not a monolith. We all live different lives just like any other culture. But I want to say thank you. I mean, because I've seen so many things today that I forgot. They had like, what was I watching on? Let me see if I can find it on my Facebook page, where they had Malcom Jamal Warner and Bobby Brown hosting Friday night videos. And you got to be an old person like me to know about the Friday night videos. And honey, you have to stay up real late after wrestling, the WWF. I think it was on channel 20. Well, ABC. It was local channel here in Fort Wayne was 21. Let me see if I can even find this stuff, honey. I don't even know how to find your little save stuff on Facebook. I don't navigate it like that. But when you had when I was watching it, I'm like, oh my goodness, look at Bobby Brown. Look at Malcom Jamal Warner. I mean, that was a sight to see. So let me see. I saved it, but honey, where the heck is it at? Okay, let's see here. I can find the save post. I think. I think it's over here. Okay, here it goes right here. Let me see if I can share it. Let me see here. Let me take this.
I like to play. I like to joke. I like tone rope, but seriously, folks, I got a girlfriend. Her name is Sabrina, and here's the new jam about Funky Cool Medina. Hey, good night, everybody.
Good night. We're out of here.
I'm going to start it from the beginning. Let's go back. Hold on. Let me get it. Okay, let's see here.
Now, for those of you who don't know,
I'm Bobby Brown.
and I'm Malcom Jamal Warner. We'll be right back on Friday Night Videos. I like to play. I like to joke. I like tone rope, but seriously, folks, I got a girlfriend. Her name is Sabrina, and here's the new jam about Funky Cool Medina. Hey, good night, everybody.
Good night. We're out of here. As Michael would say, thank you. Thank you too, but I love you.
I love you all.
The people in Bubbles.
Not Bobby Brown trying to sound like Michael Jackson. But I'm like, Friday night videos, I mean, that's a long time ago. I mean, I used to sit up. I remember they first played Thriller on Friday night videos, and we sat up it seemed like all night, waiting on it because it was the premiere. And the video was about 30 minutes long. So I don't know. That was a stroll down memory lane for me. And like I said, it was a time to be alive back in the 1980s. And like I said, I want to thank whoever came up with the concept of showing the Black family as prestigious, as Black excellence, showing us other than living in the project somewhere, showing us other than having to be saved by, being adopted by a white family, showing us in a light that, hey, makes people who are not in that situation feel like it is attainable. I can do it. I can see somebody. Because usually I always say, a lot of times people, if they can't see it, they won't think they can do it. So, how am I supposed to believe I can do this and I've never seen anyone do it? So they gave us an example of an affluent. If you come from an area where you don't see anybody, because like a lot of times people say they didn't realize they were poor until they went out and seen people who had it, because if everybody around you poor, you just think, okay, this is what it is, you don't know no different unless you're seeing it on TV or something. So once you get a chance to see something different in your situation, you go out and try to make it happen. Say, oh, that's the life I want. And that's what they gave us. So I'm going to leave y'all with this fine face right here. And let me go back and let our Cosby folks play. I mean, tell me your thoughts on it. If you my age, it was a time. I'm not going to lie. It was a time. And I enjoyed it thoroughly. We were able to see things that, great TV. Great TV. And, there was so many people trying to remake that, recreate the golden moments. And they did an awesome job. So I'm going to leave you with this. And I'm going to say good night. Rest in peace. Good night.